What's up, Internet? My name is Nerdy.
And I'm Clarus.
And this is another very special episode of the Nerdy, the Wordy, the Book Club, where we react to an audiobook chapter in The Path of Daggers, a Wheel of Time story.
A Wheel of Time story. That makes it sound like it's a mini story within, well, I guess technically.
That's kind of what books in a series are.
Yeah, you know what?
This is chapter 24, A Time for Iron. This is coming near the end of the book, kind of like the three-quarter point. If you have not read it, don't watch this video unless you're a patron, because patrons over at patreon.com/nerdynightly can listen along with us for the entire chapter. But if you're here on YouTube, we are going to cut it up so that you only get our reactions to big moments, because obviously we can't just play the whole audiobook chapter.
That's illegal.
Yes, is illegal. I am very excited. Spoilers for the book up until here now, starting now. I am very excited because what like Rand has been killing Shanchin for like 5 days, but he can't use the power. But
8
also
days,
everyone's having trouble with the power, and I'm kind of losing it.
Well, no, I don't think the other Ashman are having trouble with the power, but they're like, ooh, there's something funky in the air.
That one guy was like, I have to go to the spot that I had just used the power from because it's easier right now because Sidon is weird.
He didn't have to, but he was like, he felt better about it.
Sure. We'll see. We'll see what's going on. Let's get into the reaction.
What if they accidentally just like cleanse the taint with the bowl?
No, because you can still feel the taint.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. What if Nynaeve has to heal all of Sidon?
Yeah, I could see that.
Chapter 24. A Time for Iron.
That silky smooth voice.
Rockin glided in out of the cloud-streaked...
Rockin'.
Aerosmith's rock and roller coaster.
All of the creatures' grace in the air was lost as soon as their claws touched the ground in a lumbering run. While a groundling held a basket up for the Rockin to gulp whole shriveled fruits by the double handful at a time, one of the flyers would hand down their scouting report to a still more senior groundling.
Wait, the improv troupe, the Groundlings, are there?
Oh my god.
Is Amy Poehler there?
Altaran light horse, in disordered bunches, made their mounts prance, vain of the red slashes crisscrossing their chests. The Altarans did not know those indicated irregulars of doubtful reliability. Pale-eyed men from Alcam, honey-brown men from Encon, men black as coal from Coeal and Dalanshar.
That's a bunch of stuff I won't remember.
But one thing that always accompanied a Shanchan army was conspicuous by its absence. The Suldam and Damani were still in their tents.
Damani.
Captain General Kenameraj thought of the Suldam and Damani a great deal.
Kenameraj.
Finding decent maps in these lands was next to impossible, but the map copied atop the large table was sufficient, and worrying in what it told him.
I love that the Sachin and Rand have the same problems.
Enemy forces. A few might be the same group seen twice, but for the most part, they were much too far apart. The timing of the sightings wrong.
Little gateways.
Yeah.
Little gateway action.
There were as many as 90,000 enemy soldiers in the mountains, nearly twice what he could muster here, even with the native levies.
90,000.
It's literally like 5.
Except that scouts did not lie. Liars had their throats slit by their fellows. Too many, springing out of the ground like trapworms in the Centajor.
The Centajore.
Oh, I'm sorry, what was that word?
It's a me, Mario.
And the High Lady Suroth glided in, black hair a proud crest.
She's there?
I guess so.
Oh, shit.
Suroth sailed past as if they were as much servants as the lushly bodied Dakavale in slippers and a nearly transparent white robe, her honey-yellow hair in a multitude of thin braids, who carried the High Lady's gilded writing desk a meek 2 paces behind.
Rich people are the worst.
She has her writing
I
desk.
need my special desk.
It's literally like the Spaceballs when she has her freaking massive hairdryer, and you're like...
I need my desk
and I can't
uncut
live
jobs.
without it.
But the second Dakavale behind Suroth, short and dark-haired and slim in her diaphanous robe, was Damani. A Damani garbed as property was unheard of.
What does she think, what's Suroth doing?
Mirage was of the blood, if too low to shave the sides of his scalp like Suroth. Only the nails of his little fingers were lacquered.
What a weird way to denote rank.
I know.
If you have enough fingernails painted, you can shave your head.
Yeah.
Continued success, and she might be able to shave her head entirely and paint a third nail on each hand.
Ooh, a third nail. Can you imagine wanting to have it be really hard for you to wipe your own ass?
It depends on how long they are.
It does not depend that much. I saw the documentary about that woman with the super long fingernails. She couldn't wipe her own bottom.
Okay. If they're like a foot long.
Down, Leandrin, she hissed almost under her breath. With a glare for Alwyn, a glare, the Duckavali sank to her knees, features painted with sulkiness.
Oh my god, they must have taken over that townhouse.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was way further west. Oh wow. Or east.
Tasted the blood after riding 50 miles in a single night with 3 arrows in him to bring word of a rebel army marching on Shandar itself, and his back still pained him.
All right, Halbrand, riding with a mortal wound. I was not expecting Landon to come back, to be honest.
Yeah. It's Robert Jordan. Everybody comes back. Even Pater.
They cannot combine in fewer than 10 days, with at least another 10 before they can exit the mountains.
Why does his Sanchin accent sound like he's trying to speak parcel tongue? Another 10 days.
They will come by the ancient art of traveling, and it seems very possible that they will come.
How the hell does Seraph know that?
She's a dark friend.
Fair.
Do you question me? She snarled incredulously.
This Sanchin accent cracks me up.
That I have my sources of information.
Definitely not Southern.
But I have my sources of information. For the liver, Krog! Okay, so she knows. She knows what's up.
Mirage had seen several volumes of the Koreathon cycle printed in these lands, and they were corrupted too. Not one mentioned him serving the Crystal Throne.
I love that the Sanchin have the equivalent of, like, the King James Bible.
Yeah, that's literally what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's corrupted, because it, doesn't put us at the center of everything.
Few easily shook off the awe they felt, kneeling before the Crystal Throne, with the thirst to obey drying their tongues.
Randall have 6 or 7 thrones by then, so...
Yeah. Wonder if the Crystal Throne is a Terangrial.
Do you think it's Swarovski crystals?
Probably.
They made it out of the ball that drops in Times Square on New Year's Eve.
You will release the Suldam and the money to me, he said. If they're still sick, it will be a short fight and bloody on our side.
You were right.
But it's weird that, like, the Shiva who was with Rand isn't sick.
Yeah.
To the man, Mirage. I have spoken.
I can't unhear it now.
He doesn't do much of an accent unless there are a bunch of S's, and then he leans on them so hard.
He wished, though, that she had given him an answer about whether the Suldam and the money were still sick.
I would, Rob Jordan, I would also like that answer.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Rant.
Spilling out of other holes in the air.
Is this Doom Might as Well as 2.0?
I think so.
The sharp points of the crown of swords pricking his temples felt at once keener than ever and utterly removed.
We get it, Robert Jordan. He's Jesus.
It's a crown of swords.
Luce Theron seemed to be panting in uncertainty, or perhaps fear.
That's the thumbnail.
They'll be killing enough for anybody soon, Rand thought. Light, the last 6 days were enough to sicken a vulture.
Oh, 6. I thought it was 8 days for some reason.
It's fine. You're bisexual. You don't do math.
It's true.
It was a time for iron hearts, and iron stomachs, too. He bent a moment to touch the long cloth-wrapped package under his stirrup leather. No, not time yet. Maybe not at all.
Do you have an idea what the package is?
I have no idea.
At first, I thought it was like Kalendor, but I was like, no, that's impossible. Yeah. But I feel like it must be a ter'angreal.
I thought a time for iron meant that he can't channel, so who's going to use his sword? But a time for iron will also make sense.
He nodded casually to Anayla and Eilil, who gave bleak stares in return.
Anayla.
Like, why put those two names together?
A not entirely pleasant smile. He had as many doubts of the women as Rand did.
There's now a Candir and a Karand. They're just the R's moved.
Yeah.
Anayla returned to stroking her gelding's mane. Eilil held her reins too rigidly. That pair had not strayed far from Rand since the incident on the ridge.
Every character in the Wheel of Time looks at everyone like Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, basically.
There's just speech bubbles. Holds her hands too right. That dyslexic moment.
Wyraman opened his mouth with a grand gesture, doubtless to begin another splendid peroration on
the worst.
Sunaman and Torian.
Wyraman is the John Ralphio of Wheel of Time. And I won't need to explain that to most people.
Sunaman's face wore an unaccustomed hardness, and Torian seemed ready to squabble over a boundary line, despite the red satin stripes on his coat sleeves.
We are almost through the description of where people are standing in this line so that something can happen. We're so close to something happening.
So perhaps his sourness had more root than Wyraman's windiness.
Rand's ability to track people's eyeballs is insane.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
There's a wiki somewhere that is like everybody that Wyraman looked at, according to Rand al'Thor.
Samaradrid looked like a man who had eaten an entire bowl of bad plums.
I'd love to know what that looks like.
Versus half a bowl of bad plums.
That's enough to kill a lot of us if anybody forgets the plan. No one will forget, though, I'm sure.
Honestly, let them forget and let them all die. That's why you brought the people who don't like you. Except Bashir, he needs to live.
Mm-hmm.
Take your places, he commanded with a wave of the dragon scepter.
Let's go.
I think this is going to be bad. This is going to be an L for sure.
If it wasn't for Dumai's Wells, I would say that Rand is about to get like kidnapped by the Sanshin. But it just doesn't...
Be weird to do that again.
Twice.
Yeah.
But maybe he does. Maybe he gets taken back to the Empress now.
For that matter, Urshan Natari kept glancing toward Jordwin, and standing in his stirrups to look back toward Gregorin and
So we
Hero.
described where everyone's standing, so that Rand could say, okay, go, and now we're going to describe the direction every single person is going in.
He could not forget them, or Denharid and their armsmen.
Neither will I, because you keep describing everybody.
It's definitely more noticeable when you have to listen to it at this speed, yeah.
Sayadine is eager. I know Sayadine is not alive, but it...
You don't know that.
True, yeah.
It's midichlorians.
Wrong franchise.
Maybe Rand is just more sick because he can hold more of the power.
I've been channeling longer than you, Deshiva. You're just feeling the taint more.
I don't know. Something's going on.
Oh, yeah.
Feel, man! I don't like strange applied to Sayadine, and I don't want to die or be burned out because you're blind. Look at my ward. Look at it.
Oh, shit.
The ward stood solid as it should be, but the individual threads of the power shimmered with faint movement.
What if you use the oath rod here?
This was not the sort of throbbing he had felt in Shadar Logoth, when the taint of Sayadine had resonated with the evil of that place, and Sayadine had pulsed with it.
What if the seals are all broken?
Like they accidentally broke a seal in that explosion?
I don't know. What's going on?
Get back with the others, Deshiva. Madness waits for some, Lews Therin whispered. It creeps up on others. Mirage rode near the head of his army marching east along a muddy road that wound through hilly olive groves and patchy forest. He had known generals who wanted to be at the very front. Most were dead. But by Suroth's command, none of his flyers would be in the saddle today. Not here. There were too few Rockin with the Hylian to risk them unnecessarily.
Fair.
Yeah.
When the Ashman can just...
The Suldam bobbed in their saddles, bending to pat Damani's head, straightening only to bend again to stroke her hair.
Oh my god, I hate them so much.
The weird petting.
Yeah, the petification.
He would not waste time on Varric trying to control a mount acquired locally.
I love the idea that there are, like, hippie Sanchin who want, like, locally acquired mounts.
Go on.
Gathering his cloak against a sudden cold wind, Mirage noticed something that made him feel colder still. Lisane was watching the Suldam vanish into the trees, too, and she had begun to sweat.
The Suldam riding into battle with the Domain off their horse is such a liability.
Seems weird, yeah.
Yeah. You'd think they would just ride on the saddle together.
He had no particular enmity toward the Ilianer, but he did hate people looming over him. He could not wait to return to Cairhien, where he did not have to be surrounded by ungainly giants.
That's how we'd look at me. An ungainly giant.
You would be an Aiel for sure.
Yeah. I would just be Gaishan all the time.
"I've been thinking about you, Bertome," he said heartily. "A pity Althor strangled your cousin."
Oh my god. Fucking Wehrman.
You came when he called. I've seen him watching you. I fear he plans something more.
Somebody's watching me.
Before he could frame any response, a horseman came galloping toward them through the trees ahead. "There are 2,000 Terrabonners hard on my heels, and women with them, with lightning on their dresses."
Not enough time for mutiny when you're under attack. Let's go!
All right.
See what my man has to say when he gets back. I certainly don't see any...
He's so dumb.
And then quickly galloping lancers appeared.
I've never wanted a character to die more than Wehrman.
"Kill whoever you wish, whenever you wish, Gedwin," he said, drawing sword with a flourish. "I use the methods I use, and that's that." "Saigon and Cairhien!" he shouted.
Oh, here we go! Riding into battle.
Sometimes the ground shook. Sometimes the enemy raised shouts.
Sometimes. Occasionally. Just an earthquake.
Not half an hour gone, though, he had seen 100 Terrabonners face one lone man in a black coat. 100 lancers against one, and the Terrabonners had been ripped to shreds. Literally ripped to shreds.
Yeah.
The slaughter had continued after the Terrabonners turned to flee, went on so long as one of them remained in sight.
Jesus Christ.
But at least Imani usually left enough of you to be buried. "Get her soothed down," he told her, with all possible speed. And he thought he had seen a touch of anxiety in Mirage's eyes. What could make Kenna Mirage anxious? "I think we will be depending on you, Suldam, to the south." Now, why would that make the blood drain from her face?
The Suldam, the Domain are not in control for some reason.
Yeah.
And it makes me very nervous that Rand will soon not be in control.
That, like, both sides of the... Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Jorduin Samaris snorted. The man should have grown a beard to hide that narrow jaw.
Jesus.
Nearly half his force was dead, all told, and there were still more Shanchan out there, with their cursed women, and Terrabonners, and Amadisians, and Altarans.
Remember when Rand was like, I'll just do it by myself?
I know. Oh, boy.
There had been 2 more with bear collars when they started out that morning, but if Ashaman knew how to kill, so did Damani.
It's a good thing the Aes aren't here, because they would get messed up.
Bashir just hoped Rochide could keep all of them from deserting. Today had been costly enough without adding that sort of man wandering about loose.
Baron? Telemon?
A light rain fell.
Who's
Rand
this?
scowled at the thick black clouds.
Finally, let's go!
Yes, about to get, spicy.
Yeah. Something's about to happen.
He could not see how the gelding retained enough energy. Saidin filled him, bubbled in him, but his distantly felt body wanted to sag with weariness.
Like they did it, it feels like Rand needs to burp. He's got like a little burp of sardine. Like, oh, won't come out.
Adley had let it slip, and men had died in uncontrolled bursts of fire. Not just the Amadisians he had been aiming at, but near 30 of Ailil's armsmen, and almost as many of Anaila's. Had any other accidents happened out of his sight?
Yes.
But on both sides, that's what's so, teasing about it.
What more can you want? The smaller woman asked in a cool voice. A lady being polite to a menial. Barely. If the size of a victory is accounted by dead enemies, I think today alone will put your name in the histories.
That's not how victory works. That's not really how it works.
Do you have the Horn of Valir hidden in your pocket this time? Luz Theron asked slyly. Rand snarled at him silently.
Got him.
No, but hopefully Rand finds Matt.
Seriously. Oh, yeah, where the fuck is Matt?
Yeah.
He's dead.
Bashir's bay trotted up the slope, almost as though it were level ground.
Oh, no.
We're finished here. Part of fighting is knowing when to go, and it's time. If they're out there... Rand scanned the hills.
Oh, here it goes.
Saidin hammered at him. Unconsciously, he touched the wrapped bundle beneath his stirrup leather.
Come on, Rand.
If they're out there, that's where I'll destroy them, Bashir. I'll hit them from all sides.
Oh, no.
You won't catch him by surprise. He wants us to come at him.
I think Rand might.
Ashaman or no Ashaman, if we stand nose to nose with this fellow, I think maybe the vultures grow fat and nobody rides away. Nobody stands nose to nose with the Dragon Reborn. Pulling the long bundle loose, he stripped away the cloth covering, and Rand heard gasps as raindrops glistened on a sword seemingly made of crystal. The sword that is not a sword.
How did he...
He must have explained it because he was the one who put the words on it.
So I was right.
Why did you send your army in if you had that?
He reached for the source through the sword that is not a sword.
Oh, no.
Saidin seemed to leap into Kalendor before he touched the source through it.
It's crazy he trusts one in the Ashman to go touch that.
With Kalendor blazing in his hand, he did not remember raising the blade overhead. He stared at the hills where his enemies hid.
Rand.
I am the storm, he whispered, a shout in his ears, a roar. And he channeled. The hills before him erupted. Some flew apart under the torrent of lightning like kicked anthills. Flames sprang up in thickets, trees turning to torches in the rain, flames racing through olive orchards.
His people aren't out of there yet.
Come against me if you dare! I am the storm! Come if you dare, Shaitan! I am the Dragon Reborn!
Just casually challenging the devil.
Suddenly he realized that the way to top him was Bashir, that the man was shaking him. You're killing us, man! Stop!
Rand.
Lightnings flashed all around him, in every direction. A bolt stabbed down onto the reverse slope, where Denharad and the armsmen were. The screams of men and horses rose.
Oh, dude, no.
Then silence except for the rising drum of the rain. And the screams from behind the hill. Had he hurt them at all, striking out blindly? Or were they still waiting out there with all their demoni, waiting to see how many more of his own he could kill for them? I've lost, Rand thought dully.
Yep.
I'm the Dragon Reborn. But for the first time, I've lost. Send out orders for retreat, Yulan ordered, and saw the men standing around him jerk. For the second time on these shores, the ever-victorious army had suffered a devastating defeat.
Oof. Well, god damn it, Rand.
Wow.
Even when Rand loses, he still wins every time.
Yeah, I mean...
I kind of wish that the Sanshin had gotten away. Like, I wish that Rand had been right. That they had, like, escaped and he had just killed his own men.
I think it would have been too weirdly convenient if he'd only killed his own men.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
I know
it is just funny that like he's like I lost, and then but Robert Jordan can't even like let him have lost till the end of the chapter because it cuts the other perspective, and the guy's like, well, Rand wins again, and I was like, no, let him have a loss.
I mean, yeah, like that.
He definitely loses here, but like
Yeah, that part of it could have been saved until later, which I think would have been.
It could have been the epilogue of the book.
Interesting. Yeah. Wow, that was a big oof. I was on it this time. I was like, I feel like it's Calendar, and then I was like,
you were?
Actually, but then in my head I was like, well, no, like how would Flynn know how to undo the weaves? Like, or
because
not
Rand set them, but
was it Flynn?
I can't remember.
No, it was.
They're all.
Yeah, I sorry.
More Flynn, Helpwin.
I was like, well, like Rand set the weave so that nobody except him can touch it.
And I was surprised because I didn't think that Rand would ever trust a Ashaman with touching Calendar or like because he's like, I don't know if I can trust any of them, but he sends one and he's like, here's how you undo all of my stopping.
Yeah, and here's the most powerful Terangrial that's ever been created.
What's so interesting though is I don't think that this is Rand's fault.
What?
That it goes wrong at the end.
Yeah, no, it's whatever's happening
going on.
Yeah.
Which sucks because nobody's going to believe that, right? And so the loss of faith in Rand that is going to be rampant in his army, at least for the foreseeable future, he's never going to really be able to convince anyone.
Let the Lord of Chaos rule.
Yeah, do you think it's just the Dark One can like influence Sidon?
I don't know. No, I don't think it's like an influence on Sidon. If anything, I think maybe the Dark One had such a grasp on the weather that whatever has happened is the like remnants of him trying to hold on to it but not able to with the bowl. And so it's kind of like the taint in a way, right? Like you can still, the men can still channel, but there's this taint that takes over. It was like he had this grasp on the weather and it was forcibly released, but he was able to like corrupt a certain area for at least an amount of time.
It's like radioactive in that area for now.
Yeah. That's my guess. But
yeah, that was dark. What a place to leave off the reading for this week. If you want to come back for book club, that'll be tomorrow. We're going to go more in depth on this. I'm probably going to sit down and read that chapter again.
Yeah, there's a lot there and a lot of names.
And the way that Robert Jordan writes combat is hard to listen to, I think, and like get all of the information.
Yeah, the like chaotic nature that he's really good at portraying also means that you have to pay close attention to it. And
it's also just interesting that Rand's plan kind of sucked. And I think we're going to talk about that a lot tomorrow on the Wordy Book Club.
There wasn't a plan.
Well, but he's like, I have Calendar, but I'm not going to use it unless we're losing. And then he's like, and I'm going to when everyone gets back to the hill, I'm going to use the thing. And then
you should have listened to Bashir.
Bashir's like, well, you can't do it. And Rand's like, oh, really? I'm just going to kill everybody. Brutal. I'm like Emma Fields now. Well, that was tough.
That was... Oh.
Book club tomorrow, 11 a.m. If you watch this day, that goes up. If you go up later, that book club is probably up already, and you can just go watch it.
The future.
Yeah, we're reading through the end of chapter 24 this week. So come 11 a.m. live. That's Eastern time.
Yes.
Live on the Nerdy Nightly YouTube channel where you're watching this video probably.
And make sure you account for daylight savings time, which was this past week. So sorry about that.
Yeah. If you like this video, like and subscribe to the channel. If you don't, hit the dislike button. Leave mean comments down below because the algorithm god is hungry and we must feed her. The algorithm goddess of this episode is Leandrin because she's probably, I don't know how well they feed domains. So, we're going to have to talk about that.
Oh, yeah.
Does the Adam supersede the like shield that Mogideon put on her? Because Leandrin shouldn't be able to touch the one power. She should be able to feel it, but not touch it. So does the Adam supersede what Mogideon did? Or is Mogideon's thing over her like broken because of the Corsouvre that Moradin has? Like, what is the implementation that is currently allowing Leandrin to touch the one power?
Great question.
Right?
Great question. We'll talk about that tomorrow.
See you on Book Club.
Bye.
Bye.